Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
No, not that.
Okay, fine.
I know you like saying that, but not that.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve it, baby, at this time. You know what I'm saying? Whether you are of the heroes of the golden age or the progeny of them. Today, we are talking about a spicy, sexy episode, and I'm going to open it up with this comment. When the raging tides of division course through the world, who receives judgment? In today's episode, we are going to discuss the Elseworld story, deconstructing the DC landscape with the that's right, not one, not two, not three, but 4-issue miniseries, Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
That's how all that just got.
Here comes Kingdom Comes.
So let's get into it. Let's introduce the hosts of this episode. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
And I am Josh. And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks like bonus episodes. You get early access to all of our content. You get discounts on merch. You get access to secret channels in our Discord server.
And access to our social security numbers.
Yeah.
Not that one.
Yeah.
No,
No.
Sorry,
not
not
that.
that last one.
Oh,
That
I
is
thought
the
we
US
675-309.
No.
That is the
I thought
U.S. nation gets access to
Nope,
our...
we took that one off.
socials.
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, I vetoed that.
You
Sorry,
get a
guys,
blood
that's my
seal, a sacred ninja scroll.
Weird. But anyway, you can check that out, nerdon.io/Patreon, and do check out our Discord at nerdon.io/Discord. And a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee makes these wonderful mics. They are the hype mic. They are the ultimate podcasting microphone. They, I just can't say enough about Apogee. They are a wonderful company to work with. They are also,
Cody.
Yeah, shout out to Cody, who does have some really great videos on YouTube on the Apogee channel about
Very helpful.
about streaming as it is today. Good workflows, all that kind of stuff. Really do check them out. They also have their podcast, Clear Mountain's Domain. Do check that out. Bob Clearmountain is a legend.
Amazing.
And it's really cool to hear his stories. And also check out Odyssey headphones. Wonderful headphones. They make these. These are the LCD ones. Super comfortable. They sound great. But they also make a really cool gaming headset called the Mobius. I've gotten to actually recently, I mixed a short film in 5.1 using them. Really cool, really dope piece of equipment. Really freaky to use with.
Twitch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The microphone, the
That was
built-in
cool to watch the
microphone
back
for
end.
the Mobius is surprisingly, like for a headset, really super good. But yeah. Anyway, that is the housekeeping.
That's it.
On with this
Onward and
thing.
upward, as they say.
to this kingdom.
So, this Kingdom Come, this comic book, this legendary piece of media. So this is a 4-issue miniseries, so it's a completed work. So that means at the end of this episode, we are going to rate it from 0 to 5. That leads us to our first segment of the episode, which is
Guess that Grump.
Guess that Grump.
Let's go. This one's
I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave.
This
The more I
one
get
is
of
one
you,
of
the
the ones that
stranger it
completely
feels.
feels,
Someone dies at
yeah.
the end.
No.
Now that your rose is in
Nope,
the
you didn't.
row.
No.
Still,
Light
a lot of people die at the
wrong
end.
the grave.
A lot of people die at the end.
No.
So, if you're brand spanking new, welcome, you sexy, beautiful people, to Nerd On. This is the part of the show where we're going to go around the digital screens. If you're watching it on YouTube, you should be. Thank you. If you're listening, then just imagine
Wow.
screens.
I think Tom was
You
above me
should
last time, but we're in a
be.
square
should
now. We're like
be.
Brady bunching it up.
YouTube.com/nerdotherpodcast.
/affiliate /government /chemtrails. So,
Too many.
so we're so now since I always explain it and remix it,
That
I'm going to
mixtape.
go first. I'm going to suggest that the person that is going to like it the least, no matter how high their number is going to be, is Caitlin. It's Caitlin.
Okay. One
Okay.
vote for Caitlin.
Caitlin.
I'll
I was
just
not
accept that, and
half
then I'll,
wrong last time, so we did a
Oh,
combo.
Caitlin?
well, I'm gonna say it's Tom.
Wow.
Mm.
It's a bold
Mainly
move,
because it's hard
Gunn.
to
Let's
choose
see if
for
it
this
pays
one.
off.
Hmm.
It won't.
Josh?
I know that it won't.
I think that it will be Ollie. No, I'm just kidding. Caitlin.
Oh, he's not even here.
Yeah, he's just rewatching
That's my
the-
outvote. I don't
the
have to vote
Disney
for
movie.
anybody here.
Oh, I see. I see.
And I will
Caitlin.
guess.
trying to find the Destiny Year 1 content.
I'm so sorry, Caitlin. I also think it will be you.
Wow.
So two. on
Having
Caitlin.
said that, Caitlin, if Ollie were here, that's my real vote.
Okay.
because
but
I would have chosen Ali too if he were here. So
That's just my.
That's just like
my
your
vote.
opinion,
It's
man.
fi-
I
It's okay.
apologize. You're not my true vote,
I'm-
but I
I'm-
think out of this
I'm-
four.
I'm second best choice. I
But
guess.
Here's,
if you're
here's a
part-
fun little thing.
Yes.
If you become a part of the Nerd On Nation, you get to vote on who you think the grump will be in the segment that Tom calls the grump guesser, grumper guesser.
Gator.
That could be you.
There it is.
So with that, the Nerd On Nation has spoken, and they think that it will be Josh and Caitlin.
Oh,
that's not bad. They definitely-
also,
they
it was
definitely been
actually a
picking up.
three-way tie with Ali as well, but we apologize.
Those points will just get accumulated then.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with that, it'll be me first with my review, with my star power. Then it'll be Tom and Josh. You guys can duke it out for second, and Caitlin, you will give your review last.
Your rating.
cool.
But,
Which is a
uh,
review.
Yeah, I'll just review. But this whole thing is a review. This whole thing's a rate. This whole thing's a star. Anyway, so
whole thing is stars.
The whole thing is a star. We are stars, everyone. So now we're gonna go to the complete spoiler of that with our initial reactions and our first impressions.
Did you just dab?
No, I just spoiler because I don't want
It
to.
looks like it.
I don't want to spike the mic. Right, that's the
That's
thing. I don't
fair.
wanna
That's fair.
big
All right.
thing. So we're going to now go around and talk about our initial reactions and first impressions, how we came across it, what we thought about it, but not spoil too much
I'll go
for
first.
the audience. Yes, go ahead, Corey.
So, unbeknownst to me, I had been an Alex Ross fan for some time. But it's like one of those situations where you know of someone's work, but you don't pin, like there's no significant thing in your life yet that has pinned you to that person, to that work. Until Tom came around. We started talking about Unbreakable, which is one of my favorite superhero films of all time. And he talked about how the inspiration for that film was this Alex Ross drawing or painting, I guess, of Superman, just exhausted at home. What's the do you remember the title of it specifically?
I feel like it's
Like Even Heroes Get Tired or something
yeah,
like
it's like
that.
Superman at home. Go on.
So anyway, and that was the kind of like spark that made me associate. Like then I understood like, oh, that's his style. I've seen that a bunch. Let me go back and check out all these things. And since then, Alex Ross has become probably my favorite comic book artist ever. That I didn't know was my favorite until this. So what my understanding about Alex Ross was that he was very famous for doing these super detailed, intricate covers. So when I found out that there was an entire comic that is page by page done by him, I about lost my goddamn mind. And so this is something that I have been excited to read for quite some time, but I knew we would do it on the show. So I've kind of like held off because it's like, I've been so excited. I didn't want to like let myself down. I was like nervous to read it because I was like, well, what if I don't like it? And then B, I knew we would be covering it here. So I was like, I'll just let that be the time I do it. And so
Can I also
here we
point
are.
out that when we did decide it, like the week that we decided to read it, you found a copy in
Yeah.
the dumpster
I
behind
found
your
it put on
apartment.
top of our recycling bin in our apartment complex, like a
meant
fresh
to be.
copy. Like there's nothing wrong with it. And so it was meant to. That's how I know it was meant to be. I was meant to read it at this time. And with that, I will say this is probably one of the most beautiful comics I've ever read. Not just art wise, but the story is so drastically unique to anything. I think it's very creative the way it's done. The way that these superheroes have changed, and I won't get into details here, but the way they've changed over time due to the absence of certain things or events is really fascinating to me. And I just, it's hard not to spoil it right here. Like all the things that are just
Don't do it.
jump
Great
out to me.
about it.
Don't do it.
So I will just say, I loved this, and this will probably go on my collection as one of my favorite comics I've ever read.
Caitlin or Josh?
I can go. So Tom learned me about Alex Ross as well.
Doing
It
the Lord's
was
work.
San Diego Comic-Con last year. Tom and I went together, and we were walking
A
through
lot of love making.
a lot of butt grabbing, but
And insertion.
and insertion.
Consensual.
Of course.
Yes. Only.
So we were walking through the floor, and of course, there's just
Is
a lot
lava.
of really amazing art around. And Tom gave me kind of a learning lesson, and we stopped at one booth that was very Alex Ross heavy. It was mainly his work, and he's like, "This is Alex Ross. This is this kind of." And I know that I've always been kind of like what you were saying, Corey, is like
Aware.
aware of that art style and not realizing that it's pretty much a specific artist, mainly him.
It's like when you find out that all those movie posters that have like people's painted faces on it,
Mhm.
like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, Back to the Future, it's all one guy.
Yeah.
Like that's one guy.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought that was a style.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just someone's art.
Yeah. And so Alex Ross was in my head. And then when we decided to do this comic book, I've never seen Kingdom Come. Like, I've never seen the artwork of it or any frames from it or anything like that. But I've heard it. I've heard about it. And so when we decided to do it, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I'm excited about this. And then when I started reading it, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. This is amazing. Like,
Turn a little Canadian.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't you know
That's like
that
Minnesota
it was
or like Fargo.
oh yeah. But yeah, it was so good. Yeah, no, cover to cover, so good. Like when I flipped it open, and I'll talk about this later. I don't want to give it away. The first page, I was like, damn. Like it was just already. And then as I kept going through, and this crew knows that I'm all about like alternate stories, like taking things and flipping them on their heads. And it's like, yeah,
Like
what
Elsewhere
if
stuff.
this happened? What if this was a thing? And it was just like it was just a lot of really neat, really cool stuff. Yeah, that's without giving away spoilers of like specific things. That's that. Caitlin?
I liked it.
Hell yeah. Tom?
Off the bat, I fucked up. I messed up by voting for Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the
I
case.
like the comic.
Oh my goodness.
I went to art school
Mm.
and I spent a lot of time with paint, and
Hold on, go slow.
the style that they used for this, it honestly took me a couple pages to like get that this is what it was going to be the whole time.
It's so drastically
It's not
different.
just some splash pages or
Yeah, like,
You're just like,
at
oh.
first I was going through, I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. Huh. I'm sure it's going to get, for lack of better terms, like kind of shitty here soon.
Oh, the old thing?
Huh?
And then you're like, the whole thing?
And
The
then I
whole
kept going, I
thing?
was like, this is the whole thing? Like, it's all going to look like this? There's always going to, oh.
you just go through it and you're like,
Yeah, it's not, it's just beautiful. And the story
It's so beautiful.
is so beautiful. But the story was
Beautiful.
Yeah, that too. But like, it wasn't what I expected in the good way. Like, I wasn't sure where it
It
was
gave
going to
you
go.
what you need, but not what you wanted.
No, not that.
Okay, fine.
I know you like saying that, but not that. I just wasn't expecting it. It was a lot of pleasant surprises, I'll say.
Okay.
That's a good way to say it.
That's how we'll leave it.
All right.
Tom?
So this is not the first time I've done this comic book as an assignment.
What?
First time was on the Capes Crusaders.
Shout out.
Ooh.
And
Was that the first time you had read it?
That was the first time I read it. And I think we read it from Comixology, which you can too. nerdon.io/Comixology.
Actually,
Or-
real quick,
That's a real thing.
nerdon.io/Comixology. A
Here's
little
the
bit
thing.
of every sale goes towards helping the show. So do that thing.
Yeah.
Also, it
My
makes it so you
favorite
can
thing about
zoom
it-
in on the
What-
panels. That's nice.
Yeah, and you could go to theater mode, and
Is this our way of getting around the ad-free that the Patreon members get? Patreon members.
I'm just
Sorry,
doing a
Josh, you
throwback
have to
because I
chop
know
this
people
out
like
later.
that.
Yeah.
But no, I actually read it this time for this episode on DC Universe, so we have no ads from them. We're not getting
Okay.
paid by that, but I loved it. So yeah, reading this for the first, I'm a DC boy. I absolutely love.
I'm so
what
confused. I
DC
could understand what you said there.
I know, right? I love what DC stands for, really.
Detective Comics.
Yes, and before that, Action Comics, and then before
I just blew
What?
Caitlin's mind.
Is that what that means?
yes, Detective. Comics.
Originally, I think it's just DC now. But
Yeah,
it
it's just
used to be
DC is just its own thing, but it used to
be
that.
Detective Comics.
Wow, her facial
And now they have their own
expression
Detective
right now.
Comics, which is DC. Anyway, so
I got some
No,
homework to do.
I love everything they've really stood for in terms of like the Americana, the dream of the American people and stuff like that, and trying to tackle things. And at the time of this recording, Denny O'Neil had passed away, and I think he really kind of went ground into like the social deconstruction of what our reality is, and to imagine these icons who represent pieces of that. Having intellectual conflicts is all what this comic book is about. And it is a little bit of like that what if scenario, So to me, it's reading a Mark Waid is one thing, and then viewing an Alex Ross artwork, anything an art book, is another thing. And I have been a big proponent of. I love the very hard line, jagged edges, and the young look of modern comic books. To read this, where it's not like it's super like dynamic and stuff like that, but it's more like it's grand, it's elegant, it's finesse to a T, and it shows characters with wrinkles. It shows them in their, like that's an Alex
Their
Ross
suits
staple.
have folds. Like they don't fit skin tight. Like they have shape because they're cloth.
And most of the time, if you ever look at any male character, they look like they're in their 40s. And
Or
women
beyond.
aren't petite; they are full. They look anatomically correct, which is always wonderful.
Nice change of pace.
But it has that still that sense of the golden era of like these are the titans of characters in fiction. So reading this comic book, I don't know who suggested it. I don't know if it was myself that suggested it or it was a melange of it, but thinking about it and reading it now at the time of this recording has been much more helpful than I thought it was going to be, because as much as I like to kind of bring in like the metatextual social context of what fiction and media does, like this is like a really great beacon of hope. And it's a very wonderful conversation of like what we can do with our future. So I absolutely love this comic book. So that's all I got.
When I'm talking about Mark Waid and Alex Ross team up, to me, I would describe it as equivalent. This is how I felt this whole time. I was like, this is like the equivalent of how I felt when I found out Social Network was Fincher and Sorkin. And I was like, this is the best team up I could have ever thought about. Yeah. This is that in comic book form.
It's a dream team.
Yeah, it really is.
And that's interesting because I mean, even with Jim Lee, like he has great illustrations, but sometimes he has not a great colorist. Or not a colorist, not a great colorist, but a colorist that doesn't match his style, and so it feels a little off.
Alex
but this
Ross
is like
just-
everything fits perfectly. Yeah. So with that, it brings us to our next two segments, which is going to be our brief synopsis, which is more of like like a little blurb from the internet, and then also our production. So read them off, please.
Kingdom Come is a 4-issue comic book miniseries published in 1996 by DC Comics under their Elseworlds imprint. It was written by Mark Waid and Alex Ross and painted in gouache by Ross, who also developed the concept from an original idea. The Elseworlds story is a deconstructionist tale set in a future that deals with a growing conflict between the visibly out-of-touch traditional superheroes and a growing population of largely amoral and dangerously irresponsible new vigilantes, in many cases the offspring of the traditional heroes. Between these two groups is Batman and his assembled team, who attempt to contain the escalating disaster, foil the machinations of Lex Luthor, and prevent a world-ending superhuman war.
Foiled
Basically,
again.
it's kids these days.
Yeah.
Basically,
Except
damn
kids these
millennials.
days are also
Okay,
like a
Superman.
nuclear
Going.
bomb.
Kids these days. The production side of things, I will be taking care of today. What's up? I'm Corey, your publication guy. Publication DC Comics, you know them for a very small business, very small comic, independent comic.
Yeah.
They know things for Mr. Miracle, Blue Beetle, Animal Man. Writers Alex Ross, known for Marvel's The World's Greatest Superheroes, Justice. Mark Waid, known for Daredevil, Flash, Superman, Birthright. Artists, and this threw me off in our digital green screen. Alex Ross, known for Spider-Man, the Academy Awards. Like the Academy Awards.
I understood that reference.
I asked him, I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that comic before. And he's like, no. He did art for the Academy Awards. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. Also known for an Unbreakable. Todd Klein, Sandman, DC Ultimate Guide to Lettering, and The Omega Man. The publication date was May through August for the 4 issues, 1996. Series order 1 through 4. Copies sold, not listed, but now inducted into DC Black Label. Tom, what is Black Label?
What's
so
that?
DC Black Label is the folding of Vertigo, Wildstorm, all these different things. So during like the early 80s, mid 90s and stuff like that, we've talked about where the comic book bust was happening. DC had these offshoots that were led by the people who were really working in Image. And those Image people came from Marvel. So like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, I think even Frank Miller. A lot of these people headed up these other companies. So like, Vertigo, DC Vertigo, which V for Vendetta, Watchmen, and Sandman are all from that. Swamp Thing, Wildstorm is Jim Lee creation. And now DC Black Label is kind of folding that in. So like no more Vertigo, no more of these other branches. It's now just called DC Black Label. And all the Elseworld stories that don't match the normal DC continuity of superheroes are into that. So we see Batman's dick. You see that. It's all
the Batman. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's where and a lot of people call it like the HBO of DC, where it's like these are the adult stuff, the darker things, the things that like probably you shouldn't have teenagers and kids read. Even though that stuff still goes in that stuff, but like it goes dark and high end and highbrow
Gotcha.
too. So
yeah. The last little bit of information here is it won 5 Eisner Awards, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
I don't have any, so that just goes to show you how big of a deal that is.
and Alex Ross also did the art for the Eisners.
I wouldn't be
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
So yeah,
He
with
also
that,
does your photo for the DMV, it says here. So fun fact.
he draws it.
That's
actually,
what that
each one.
was. I knew it was
Yeah.
familiar.
The quality has upgraded over the last year. It's because Alex Ross.
He
Yeah.
prefers blue backgrounds, by the way. So for everyone listening, now we're going to go into our next parts. We're going to be our favorite parts, favorite characters, and then our qualms or gripes if you're
spoilers.
absent. Yeah,
Spoilers coming up.
full
So if you haven't read
country.
it, pause it right now. Go to Comixology, read it, come back, and then press play. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait for you. Right
I'm done waiting.
now.
Cool. So now, and then after that, we'll go into our ratings, and then we'll be done with the show. So for favorite parts, who wants to go off?
I do.
All right.
This is a really simple one right up front. Seeing Clark on the farm it was just cool. Like the imagery of him in these overalls with the long beard and the hair with just like a tractor over his head and just holding a conversation, like such a nonchalant conversation, was like, I think the perfect way to introduce a Superman who has just kind of like been like, I don't care anymore. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna use my powers around the farm to like, why wouldn't you? I'm just gonna throw entire, bales of hay, 1,000-pound bales of hay around, because that's what I would do. I wouldn't get a machine. But I think it was such a cool introduction to see him. And then that moment when you figure out that it's all fake, you're like, oh shit. Okay. And that was an oh damn moment for me. That was like one of the first big oh damn moments. Yeah.
I mean, the first shot has him with long planks of wood, and he's holding it over his back. A little symbolic.
Yeah, I would say so.
Smidge.
And I was like,
Just a smidge.
Anyone else?
I mean, like I said in
tons.
my initial reactions, the very, very first page when you start it, it's starting
Bat
to get
and
into
the
kind of like
eagle.
the prologue and explanation, but it's the bat versus the eagle, the spread. I was just like, when I first started, I was like, oh, this is what I'm in for.
And the eagle is all America'd up.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I was like,
America.
okay, all right, I'm into this. This is cool.
Fire and brimstone.
This is cool.
Kaylin?
I was very fond of his name was Wesley in the beginning, yeah?
The
He
Sandman?
was only there for like
Sandman?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wesley.
I liked the portrayal of like him having this gift that everyone's like, okay, crazy man, go take a nap. But it was actually like his powers. That sort of thing has always been interesting to me. Where it's like someone is deemed crazy and then it's actually that they have this other thing that no one else just understands yet. So, and then it being passed on to someone and then him being able to understand that perspective throughout the story was just like, I loved all of that.
That's
That was
literally his
wonderful.
powers, though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not
Can you
even like
explain
a.
Sandman to me? Because I'm
So there's like
unfamiliar.
multiple Sandmans in the DC universe, right? So there's Neil Gaiman's Sandman, but this is Wesley Dodds, who is, I think he was part of the Justice League Society, which has like Dr. Fate, Starman, Spectre, and all that stuff. So like when DC came out with all their comic book stuff, like there was Superman, and they had Batman, and there was just characters, and then they created like the team, and the team was the Justice Society, and they had nothing to do with any other characters. And then like the whole old Jay Garrick Flash with the little tin bucket hat thingy. So that was the team. And so that they were like, how do they coexist with Superman? And what they did was like, they called that Earth 2. And so that's why they had the Flash of Two Worlds. And you see like the two Flashes saving the same woman. And later on, they kind of folded it in. If you remember from Hush, our comic book, Batman and Thomas Elliot are looking at the original Green Lantern fighting. And that's the Green Lantern from the Justice Society. So Sandman, he was a character who, had the mask and he had like dreams that he can see the future and stuff like that. But he was kind of like, if you imagine, kind of like Green Hornet in that way, where like he, they're mostly humans and there was a few like superpowered people. But yeah, this is showing like the end of that.
Got it.
It's pretty cool.
Got it.
One of my, just off the bat, favorite parts is, I don't know, there's so much, right? So I guess if we're going with the first issue, it's there's a fight happening on the bridge, and all of a sudden there's just a flash, there's a blur, and then all of a sudden it's like, what is that? And then all of the people who are causing the fight on the bridge are all being held up by Superman, and it just ends, and it's just like, oh my God, here he is coming back, and he's got the black symbol, which isn't the first time he's had the black symbol. His original suit used to have that, but it was like, oh, okay. It was kind of like,
got things to talk about right now.
You're reading it and you're lulled into this, okay, this is just a commentary on superheroes and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, here are the heroics. Here it happens. And it's like,
oh, it's happening.
Yeah, and he's like old, and it just like looks so good. Anyways, who's next?
Another one of my favorite parts is, well, first of all, how they did the Flash in this, that he's just become this like
blur,
just become like time itself, essentially, like not non-human, just always patrolling the streets, just making sure that, now that in Superman's absence, I have to go harder, I have to go faster, I have to make sure that everyone's okay. But the moment he can see, what's his name? The protagonist.
Priest.
Yeah, the priest. The moment he can see him, and he just has this moment where he's leaning back from the
yoink.
crowd, and he was like, "You, who are you?" and pulls him into their reality. I thought was such a great concept, because I was like, oh, because I had seen I had seen stills and stuff like that, or stills, God, I had seen panels from this before, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So he interacts with them, and then the story, I read it for the first time, and I was like, well, he's never going to interact with like Superman and stuff. That's kind of weird. It's going to be these like two parallel things happening at once. So when that finally happened, I was like, oh, because he's the Flash and he can do
He's
that.
so super speedy fast.
He
with his
doesn't
speedy
exist
feet.
in any one point. And I was just like, that's really, really cool. And his design is just awesome. His design is so cool in this.
Yeah.
I dug it. I really dug that whole panel.
I loved there's a lot to love about this, but the final battle scene was just, it was just not even from just a story standpoint, but just looking at it and reading it and watching it. I mean, I loved the way that the battle was displayed on the page of everybody fighting each other. Like, it was just, it's hard to explain, but it was just like it was almost like a chessboard, a very jagged chessboard of people fighting each other. And then like Batman swooping in, and just the discourse between
The cavalry.
yeah, with everybody, and Superman talking to Billy Batson / Shazam, and that whole moment, and then like at the end when you have Superman basically standing in and he's got his
Fallout.
red eyes, he's got the smoke
The
around
UN.
him, the anger, like, damn. It was
No,
just
it's-
it was like the whole few pages I couldn't stop reading. Like, it was like, and I probably read it like a few times in a row just because I was like, this is so dope. This
Yeah.
is so dope.
It's,
dug that.
It's one of my favorite moments where he talks to Billy. He says, it's like, you can make the decision.
Yeah.
You live between the humans and the gods, and you're never really one or the other, but you live between both of them. So you can either help me stop this thing, or you can let everyone die. And then so Superman goes, because that's what Superman does. And then Billy stops him, and it's
Yoink.
that anger that Superman has. It's like, he had to make the sacrifice when I could have made the sacrifice, where I'm still here and everyone else around me is dead. And it's like that wonderful, wonderful. It's like what Norman McKay, he's the POV for the audience. He witnesses. He's like, oh, this is what I saw in my vision, like
Yeah.
Superman screaming to the sky, and it's like, oh, it's so good. I was like, identifying all the dead people. I was like, oh, he's dead. Oh, he's dead.
Oh, no. Aw.
Man.
Is
I also
Shazam?
love-
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Is Shazam on par with Superman in terms of being able to go toe to toe?
I think I've discussed this, not in a bad way. I think I've discussed it before, but when we talked about on our Shazam episode, Shazam was Wiz Comics, and when kids love Superman, they like literally from like 3 to 1 in terms of comic books, Shazam outsold Superman when he came out.
Whoa.
And he was known as Earth's mightiest mortal. And it was like, you don't read Shazam, you become, you don't read Superman, you become Superman. And that was like the lure of what Shazam was like, I'm Billy Batson, I don't have anything, and now I get to be Superman.
Mhm.
And so when they finally when DC bought the rights and rolled him over into the continuity, it's literally Superman but magic. And so Superman's like, as they show in the book, he's weak to magic. And so Shazam could probably kill Superman.
But he keeps
Because
saying it. Shazam, Shazam, Shazam,
oh, it's so
Shazam.
good.
You're like,
And,
oh, fuck.
It's so good. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, for sure. But the thing is, I don't know if Shazam could breathe in space.
Mm.
And that's like
I don't
always
know.
the thing. It's like Superman has more abilities, but Shazam, if he has magic, he literally could chuck lightning bolts in. He is like the totem pole for magic in the Earth realm.
Mm.
So one thing that I really liked was when Bruce and Clark are having a conversation, and he keeps calling him Clark. It's like, it's Kal-El now. It's like, okay, Clark.
Oh yeah.
So, and then he just keeps running in it. I was like, to me, this is peak Batman. Like Batman, he's so much shit, right? He's the detective. He's broody. He's
also
a
a
leader.
dick.
But no one's
He's a
really got that part right, where it's like he's kind of an asshole when he knows
So
he has
jaded.
to play those games.
Yeah.
And I love that part of it. And then when Superman pieces out, it's like, oh, so that's what it feels like, which is like happens in The Dark Knight Rises. I was like, oh, I forgot. This is the thing that you pull from. You know, this is the one place that you pull all your great stuff from. Is this book?
I loved that. I mean, it reminded me a little bit about how well Bruce knows how to get under his skin. Like when we read Hush, and they're in the tunnels, and he knows that like playing into, I forget what the exact line he says was.
Superman could kill me in one punch if he wanted to, but deep down, he's a good guy. And deep down, I'm not.
I'm not. Yeah, and I was just like,
It's so
that's
good.
it.
It's so good.
Caitlin?
It's the diner scene when he's like, when
At the end?
Diana and
Soups?
Superman
Oh, the Godfather.
are
We
like
want
gonna
you-
tell him that he's gonna be the Godfather and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think Diana even told Superman. He was like, "What?"
No one
But
knew. No one knew.
I just love that whole like he's eating his wishing it was a well done steak.
oh my
And I was
God.
like, "You're pregnant," and they're like, "Bruh?" Like the art done for their faces was just so good. Of like, did you tell him? No, did you? Like it was
He's
such
like,
a
no, I pick up on shit.
yeah. And he was noticing the moles.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's like,
I
he's
loved
like,
it.
Basically, like, you know, your skin is glowing and like da da da.
well,
Those
he's
of
like,
you who don't know, it's right there.
yeah.
Both
Yeah.
their faces is just.
Where they're like,
He's always typically,
so good.
she's like,
So
you're,
good.
You're an Amazon. You're usually at perfect peak strength. And now I see a gray in your hair. And it's like, oh shit. To mention a specific part, I really loved. So after the fallout of the nuclear bomb that goes off, Superman goes to like fucking like
The
Senate
UN.
and like going to whoop some ass, and everyone's freaking out. This is like what they feared, and it's all coming to pass. And it isn't until Batman and Wonder Woman come in saying, "No, this isn't the way." And the line that I really love is Superman realizes like Billy Batson died, and we have to make sure that his death wasn't in vain. And he says, "The problems we face still exist. We're not going to solve them for you. We're going to solve them with you, not by ruling above, but by living among you. We will no longer impose our power on humanity. We will earn your trust." I asked him to choose between humans and superhumans, but alone he knew that was a false division, and made only the choice that that ever truly matters. He chose life. And I loved it because there was this ticking clock of the Spectre being like, who is going to pay for what the death is going to happen? And it's like, oh shit. And so the choice was to have minimal death, to have all the life, which I was like, oh, it was rough. And I think they really did a good job of intertwining some religious feeling into it and testing that faith and bringing it back in.
The title of it.
Yeah.
Kingdom Come.
Yeah, and bringing that back in because the pastor is like, I'm more of a philosophical kind of guy, not really a religious kind of guy, which I was like, that's kind of dope. But then he comes brought in because he can't even perform a sermon correctly. And at the very end, his faith in humanity is like restored. And it's like this beautiful feeling that like, one, these characters go through, but two, if you were feeling what Norman was feeling, yeah, there is nothing but violence and destruction among us. And there's no leaders. And what do we do when the heyday of what we thought were the golden age is gone? And it's like, even then, the remnants of the golden age are now different. They're jaded and they come back and they fight, and realizing that sadly, like dramatic experience has to shake them into a better place. So it's like,
This to go on the other side of that, the not as important, not as in-depth thing. Tom knows this. I'm a huge Constantine fan, which means I'm a Justice League Dark fan, which means seeing Boston in this comic, probably
so
the coolest version of Dead Man I've ever seen. Talking to the Padre, being like, "Yeah, of course I can see you. I'm dead. Like that's what's up."
Oh, that's
and then
what
he
I
just
was
tells
just
him,
about
like, when you get to the other side, look me up. And he's just like, I love Boston. I think he is
Can we?
such an underutilized character as far as what I've
forgot.
read.
about
that coolest
that
design ever. He doesn't usually
interaction.
look like that.
I wanted to like because that was actually literally going to be my next of like my favorite part when he's talking to that skeleton. So maybe I missed out on something, or maybe it's something that I wasn't familiar with. So that character, the skeleton, is a character.
Deadman.
He's a hero named Deadman.
His name is Boston Brand.
That's why he's got the suit on.
Okay,
yeah, who
name's
used-
Boston. I'm a ghost. Nice to meet. Okay,
Yeah.
who would
Sorry.
be played by who, Corey?
Do I have someone in mind?
Yeah, you
For
said
that?
it like I think a while ago.
I don't remember what I say.
Bill Burr.
Oh, hell yeah, Bill Burr. Hell yeah, Bill Burr. I was totally right when I said that, because that would be the perfect casting would be Bill Burr. That's dream casting.
I read this twice
Yeah, so
too.
he's a character in the DC universe, especially a large character in Justice League Dark. He works with Constantine, because Constantine works with a bunch of dead guys. Yeah, he's Deadman. I believe he was a trapeze artist or a
He was some kind of
Daredevil.
performer, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he usually has like ghost white eyes and like this green blue skin. But this version, I think this is my favorite version of him. He's just a full on skeleton, and his like suit's starting to like come apart and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Deadman's really dope. So
Yeah.
to see him come in here and just be utilized to be like, "Hey, Padre, what's up?" You're like, "Oh shit, there he
Why
is."
are you here?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I really liked it's now the character's name is Damian Wayne, but the one of the characters who's in Lex Luthor's Legion of Doom per se is named Ivan Zulfachash, who is actually Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul's son. So like now current continuity is Damian Wayne. So it's like cool seeing that this kind of led into that in comic books now. And then that like Robin has now become like a Red Robin, and it was like, oh, this is where those things came from.
Oh, in this, yeah, seeing that, I've seen that drawing of Red Robin hundreds of times. The Alex Ross drawing where he's like kind of creeping.
Yeah.
And just to see it in context, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
He's creeping, dude. He's just like,
he's
"What's
just,
up? I'm Red Robin."
yeah.
He's creeping. I thought it was cool to see.
Yeah, and also, oh, hold on. The whole fucking premise of this. Okay. So like the reason why all the superheroes retired is because Magog killed the Joker, because the Joker killed everyone in the Daily Planet, and specifically Lois Lane. And that was like huge. And Superman,
Kind of a big deal.
and that's the cool thing that the book tackles, is this idyllic sense of justice where you don't kill, you know? And this, I think, really struck home for a lot of the people who are like the fanboys who are like, oh, I don't like my Batman kills and stuff like that because of this comic book. And it got reinforced with so many times in later iterations. But Magog, who is like this new hero who's like strong, and he's not even like that powerful or anything like that, but he's willing to be like the Punisher, you know, like that kills the criminal. And it's like that conflict of how many times has he killed somebody? How many times would it have been that he would have redeemed himself, but yet we let Joker on the loose, and yet that's the line you won't cross. But at like almost like pretty much like the end of the second act, really, Superman confronts Magog because he caused Kansas to be a wasteland by having Captain Atom explode, who's also like a military dog in more recent comics. But anyways, he catches up to Magog, and he's just like trying to do what's right. And he's like the one that's trying to redeem himself in the gulag. And he's like, I hate that you left, that the people chose
That was
me.
Big moment for me. Like reading that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a big old fight. Magog's totally an asshole. Like da 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 da. And then getting to that scene and being like, oh damn, it's just like this. He's like a kid whose dad left, and he's just like, I tried to do everything I could to hold all of this together, and I hate that you left. And you're just like, oh man,
Well, he
Magog
hates,
looked up to him.
he hates that the world chose him. You
Yeah.
know, like he's like, you were the guy. Why didn't you bring me in? Why did you just give up? And it's talking about like the social pressures that we all feel, where it's like, you know, we have to have someone who's like swift and just, and like the old form of justice doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, you have to strike back. And it's like, I almost want to quote where it's like, fighting for justice, you know, be thankful for that when people could be fighting for revenge all the time. and that's a very like hard line to dance with. And I absolutely loved that sequence. And like you had the entire like old school Justice League show up, so you had like Green Lantern who's coming from like his satellite, which was I thought was super dope. You had the Flash and you had Hawkman, they had Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman also fucking she was a baller throughout this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like she was the one trying to just whoop
Some of my
everyone to
favorite
shape.
iterations of Wonder Woman, just getting shit done, and Clark being like, "Well, where are you going?" And she's like, "I'm gonna go fucking do something because I'm not gonna sit here all day." So you
Think
can either
about how I
join
should
or
have done
not.
something.
Yeah.
And she has to go through a redemption arc too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. What is it? Killing them won't get you back to Themyscira. And I was like, oh shit! Like between Batman and her, because they're fighting, because he's like, hey, blah blah, fighting crime doesn't bring your parents back. Because like, and also doing this doesn't bring you back to Themyscira. So it's like everyone's fighting at their core fundamentals of those characters. Beautiful.
I loved Batman's suit in this. Like he's just but I love Bruce Wayne, and also like he almost looks it's almost Darth Vader-y. Like when you take when he takes off, it's got like the anyway, it was I just
the
loved
neck
his
brace.
Yeah, the neck brace, and he's got this whole full body kind of brace kind of thing.
Exoskeleton.
But like later on when he's donning the full bat suit, it's such a really
It's so cool.
It's so cool. It's almost like the have you guys seen like the medieval Batman like looking?
Yeah.
It almost looks like that, and like the ears are super pointy, and
well, I like how long the wings go, and the wings look like they can deflect bullets and also just like knock 20 people down. And he's got that like giant like lance thing. And I was like, my God. And all his like the points of his cape freaking shoot lasers.
freaking lasers.
I was like, my God. There's so much that like I don't know what I don't like really. Anything else, Caitlin?
I love the Superman suit too. One more time. I like the black.
Well, Wonder Woman's gold suit's dope too.
Oh yeah.
With the wings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's going when I saw those hanging up and saw her walking over to it, I was like, oh yeah, we're getting the wings, baby. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the posters for Wonder Woman
84.
84, but we're getting that suit.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting that suit in the movie, and I'm stoked.
One thing, and I think the Crusaders actually talked about it. Pencilers don't get, or no, letterers don't get. All the artists don't get their fair share. It's always the penciler. Now, it's not usually the inker or the colorist, but the letterer for this, I thought, was great. Because I think it's the end of issue 3, and Superman's trying to stop the fight at the Gulag, and then all of a sudden, Shazam, lightning strikes, and then says, and then the Armageddon arrived. And it just shows, I was just like, oh my God, like those little snippets of like hearing Norman McKay talk and talk in such a prophetic way, where I was like, holy shit, this is like the end of times. Like, I thought it was really cool because to me, even though the battle is like technically contained to Kansas, like the moral soul of the country and the world is at stake. Because at this point, Superman and Wonder Woman have gone through every country in the world and been like, wow, there's so many people who have superpowers who don't want to join the cause and just want to fight. And I thought that was such a wonderful thing too, because it was also showing that Superman cannot impose his goodwill upon people. People have to want to change for themselves. And I was just like, yeah. And then Wonder Woman, who's just like, just white knuckling, like, what are we going to do? We can't not do something. So we got to do something at all. And Superman, I think that's the wonderful thing. And this is like how you have Superman, you know, in film, in things. Like he could always be a good-hearted person, but how does he? It's. I hate to say it. I'm going to quote, and hopefully he stole it from someone else that I can quote better. But it's what is a king to a god, and what is a god to a non-believer? And so it's like thinking about that thing where it's like, who cares if you're Superman? It's like you're not going to stop me from what I want and what I'm going to be doing. And so it's that flip on how much society changes upon the layers of it. And it's such a good.
It's
really
I mean,
good.
I can keep
When you
going.
make
I got
Tom
more and
go.
more parts. This is a favorite part of mine. This isn't even in the comic. That the main character is Alex Ross's dad. There's a
Really?
picture in the back of the book, of his dad. And it's like a thank you section in this book, and he says, I want to thank my dad for being the what does it say?
The
The
inspiration.
exact thing.
Yeah.
So it has it here. It says Norman McKay was kind enough to model for this project. The real life basis. Norman Ross was certainly a real life basis for Norman McKay, and was kind enough to model for this project, helping me make my tribute to his profession and good character impossible. So like he's there's a real picture of him here.
That's awesome.
And I just think that's really
Wow.
cool. I thought that was awesome.
One more
I will
before we
say-
move on to favorite
Yes.
characters.
Yes.
My favorite onomatopoeia ever is crack-a-boom.
Oh, crack-a-boom. Yeah.
Crack-a-boom.
Yeah, it's so good. I will also say this: when Arthur Aquaman literally puts his hand on Diana's shoulder and says, "I'm so sorry," because she's lost her royal status. And he's
Yeah.
like, that was never my wish, because like that's the cool thing with Themyscira and Atlantis do have political ties, and like that's
Oh.
so cool. What?
Okay, yeah, that's something that's like a definitely favorite is when they come down there and they're like, you gotta help us out. You gotta help. He's like, I am 70% of this planet.
Mhm.
Y'all only have 30%. Go away.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
There's one of me. There's like 100 of you.
But
Shoo, shoo.
also to that
Like-
point, it's kind of like I have to clean up all of your messes.
Mhm.
Like you guys have to clean up the top town, but then when it comes down to the water, that's my mess now. That's so good. But
that was so. I was like, I want that story now. I feel like everyone's been like, haha, Aquaman, but like that Aquaman, I want to know about his day.
I mean, that's kind of like what it was a little bit about with Justice League. When they're like, "Hey, we need you to help," he's like,
Yeah.
"I got the whole ocean to worry about." But no, I also want to say, could you imagine a Kryptonian Amazon being raised by Batman?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Insane.
But also give me the comic so I can read about it.
Insane. So
Thanks.
that's really cool. And I would want the child to be a daughter, just so she has access. Is it a daughter? Is it a girl for sure?
Yeah, it was a girl.
Oh, dope. I
I
thought
thought
it was
they
like
were saying at the end that it's a girl.
I thought they were like, we'll name it this or this if it's a girl. But no.
I could have sworn that they were like, no, it's a girl. But
Well, I have
whatever.
it in front of me. I'll tell you. You
There we
guys
go.
start choosing your favorite characters.
Favorite
Also,
characters.
all of the like side stuff at the end, like the chronology or the genealogy at the end
Girl.
is
Mhm.
intense. It's really, really cool. Just like the genealogy of all the different heroes and bloodlines and evolutions and all that kind of stuff. Very cool. Passing of the mantle, unique lineage. It's very cool. Anyway, favorite characters.
Let's do two. Only
Two?
two characters.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. 2. I had 3.
Two, baby.
So-
gotta shake it up every once in a while. This isn't as big as other comic books that we've done. This is actually quite
It
short.
has so many characters in it.
Some
has
would
more
say it has
characters than
all the
most
characters.
It has more characters than anything else we've read.
Not necessarily.
Name it then.
House.
House and Powers of X doesn't have more characters.
Then this?
Yeah.
Tom's going to go count all of them and come back
I'm
with
literally
good
gonna-
numbers.
We should.
Thousands. Then fine, let's do
um,
three. Let's do three. Let's make it easy.
No. It's okay. I'm already here now.
Just
Well.
kick off your third and then bring it back in. Who's yours, Josh?
I love Superman in this. I'm gonna be cliche and say Superman and Batman. I just like them in their old age. I always like there's kind of like a coming back together at the end.
Oh, right. When he asked for him for help
Yeah,
at the very end, it's like, it's always been you and me. We've always had the differences, but we've always come back together. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I know it's cliche, but I just love them. Yeah, those are my favorite characters.
There it is.
Caitlin?
And scene.
I'm
Um,
still having trouble.
do
Favorite one.
we switch to 3?
I think it's 2.
2. Okay.
I
The
said we can go
Flash-
back to 3 if you wanted to.
Fair.
I said
The
no.
Flash is my favorite.
Oh.
The fact that he's still going when everybody else backed down, and not only is he still going, but he's like going harder than anybody else. To the fact that he's ripping through like
He's not a person
life
anymore.
and death. He's not even a person. He's the guy, like a god. He has
It's
reached
time
that
itself.
status. And he I mean, he's the bridge between the two. Like he's like these things are running parallel, and he's the thing that bridges them both.
Yeah.
So he was like the most fascinating and interesting
Wally
thing for
West,
me.
baby.
And then second up, I know that he even says in the comic that he hates it, but Aquaman. I forget what he actually goes by, but just that gave me.
Well, he doesn't hate it. It's just that he handed that mantle off to someone else. So he's like,
Right.
I'm not Aquaman anymore.
Arthur
Yeah,
Curry.
I just can't remember the name that he actually went by in this
Arthur
comic.
Curry.
Arthur Curry,
There we go. But
Lord
like,
of Atlantis.
he barely says anything, but he's just like, you have no idea what I'm dealing with down here. Y'all don't even know. Like that was just like, if we think what they're dealing with up top is bad, I can't even imagine what's happening beneath the surface. That made me like so interested in what's happening there.
And that's what makes me really excited for like the next Aquaman film, because I've always said like Aquaman should be like Game of Thrones, where it's just kingdoms and kingdoms and kingdoms, and it's just like, hey man, we need your help. Hey
I
man,
watched that.
I'm dealing
Yeah.
with 5 other kingdoms right now. Chill out. And then when the Justice League movies come out, then it's
Seven
like,
seas. There are 7 seas.
Yeah.
We only have like, we got countries and stuff, but they got a whole
yeah.
70%. They all get 10% of the earth.
And
Like,
then when the Justice League movies comes out, then it's like, okay, then it starts like messing with the seas, and it's like, all right, who fucked with me? And it's like, okay,
yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
That's so cool.
Corey, you got favorites? Who's
I
your
mean,
two?
obviously, Flash is up there at the top, just because I'm Flash boy,
Blah.
as Tom says it. And I would have to say Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
Mm.
I think Diana's resolve and her just, I don't know what the right word is, but her
Conviction.
Conviction's good. And just being like, we need to move. Like, we can't just fucking sit here and talk all day. We need to go do. I'm gonna go do something about it. You sit here, fine, whatever. I'm gonna go. I just really respected this version of her, of someone who's already lost her throne because she failed at what she failed to act too quickly.
I was
So
just
now
gonna
she's
say,
like,
yeah.
I'm not making that mistake a second time.
Her drive in this is
Yeah,
is really
and her
something.
design, and I just like her art design, like her the way Alex Ross drew Wonder Woman in this.
It's very
is probably
Linda
one of my
Carter looking.
favorites. It is, and so that
Yes.
was that. Those are my two.
I could spin.
So hard. I kicked off Boston.
Oh.
So
Um,
sad. It was
my
one of my favorite scenes.
my first number one without a doubt is Norman McKay.
Mhm.
Because he is what I would love readers to take away from reading this. I love that he's like, why me? Why do I have to make the choice? Why are you taking me? He's a little Scrooge. He's a little, I forget his name.
It is
Para-
very Christmas Carol-y.
I think his name is
Yeah.
Paradox in the Final Crisis series, where he just witnesses things and then he gets brought in front of the greater powers that be. And he feels for all the tragedies that happen. He's not he is at first desensitized from it, and is still willing to save the child from collateral damage. And then at the very end, which leads into my second favorite character, which is Superman in this book, where Superman is about to kill everyone in the Senate, and Norman McKay says, he tells him to stop. He says, why are you, and Superman says, why are you here? And Norman McKay says, to bear witness. Listen to me, Clark. Of all the things you can do, all your powers, the greatest has always been your instinctive knowledge of right and wrong. It was a gift of your own humanity. You had never questioned your own choices in any situation, in any crisis. You knew what to do. But the minute you made the super more important than the man, the day you decided to turn your back on mankind, you completely cost you your instinct. That took your judgment away. Now take it back. And I was just like, this is what it's all about. This is what hero genre is about. Like, and that's why like fictional characters, like as much as great as it is to like, oh, they're us in that way, where it's like heroes can be someone that are just like above the rest. And you should try to strive to be them and then in doing so, you become the hero. And I thought that was just like a wonderful, beautiful thing. And to me, I always kind of like where Superman is that sense where he does have the flat arc where people have to learn from his example. And I don't know. It's great. I love it.
A little
It's great.
Cyclopsy at times.
It's great. It's great. I love it.
And I like that he's sitting with the human form of the Spectre at the end.
John Kerrigan.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Which is dope. And I love the Spectre. God's Wrath? Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we go into...
He's upset about whatever food they named after him.
Oh, yeah. He's got like
God,
I forget what it
cheese
was.
and
A Spectre
spinach.
salad.
Yeah, the Spectre
Yeah.
salad. He's like, really?
Yeah.
It's, like, it's not that bad.
I don't know. I in all honesty, I'm more upset that Batman eats steaks well done.
Yeah.
I'm more upset about that.
I could see it.
And I need that to be retconned immediately.
Nope. No, it fits.
The way that
It
Batman
fits.
likes his steaks.
Sorry.
Yeah, probably eats it with fucking ketchup too, like an asshole. Billionaire fuck. Let's get into qualms. Okay, I got one right now. Well done steak with ketchup.
There you go. There you go.
No, I'm kidding. Who's got qualms?
I don't.
I do.
I knew it.
Do
See?
it.
But it's not a real qualm.
Mm.
It's like a...
It's an integer
It
qualm.
just... What?
Wow. He
'cause
just
negative
did math
numbers-
teacher.
Just math puns.
Okay.
My brain completely just like fizzled out completely, and I was like, "What?
That's my
Word
superpower.
Did he even use?"
Imaginary numbers. All right.
I really was bothered by the Spectre only wearing a cloak all the time. Like that was it.
Don't kink
Nothing
shame.
else.
He's a ghost. Who cares?
I get it, but like, give the man some pants, I guess. Isn't it drafty? Is that what that cloak is for? So he doesn't get cold.
Hey.
There's
The
enough draft under his
the
skirts,
sexy
you know?
cladded outfits are not just for the women. They could be for the dudes too.
yeah.
That's fine.
The way I
just
saw it
was
was like how Red Skull is in Infinity War, where it just is kind of just like goes into a nothingness. So all he's got is this cloak.
But you
That's
do
it.
see
It's
his
like
body
a-
parts.
Give a man
That's
some
what Kaylin's
pants.
talking about.
No, I know.
it was a little distracting for me, I'll just say.
Well, stop
Where
looking at his
I was
junk
like,
and read the
where
comic
you just
book.
kind of like you see like, don't tell me y'all don't do this, where you just see the art and you like kind of lean and you're like,
Yeah.
nope, okay.
I was like, is that a
I'm gonna go
booty? Oh.
Is that,
Is that a
oh,
Is
cheek?
that a ghost
Oh.
penis? No.
And then at the
Oh.
end, when he's doing the sermon and the guy's right there, I'm like, y'all are cool.
Yeah, he's real
It's
cool.
like
They're real cool.
I mean, you know,
They
you
tight.
go to the bathhouse together. You've seen some stuff, but it's just like I guess it was enough of a like strange situation that you just don't question it. But I would be like, if I was Norman McKay and I got thrust into this situation, I'd be like, why do you only get a cloak? Why can't you have pants? You're
You
trying
can't
to cover
afford pants?
things. I see you trying to cover things. Why didn't they let you have pants?
because
They give you this
earthly
big old cloak that you can
confines
go
don't
around.
matter.
Yeah, but why give him a cloak then?
You don't have ghost money?
Why'd you give him?
can't afford
Why'd you give him
ghost
the
pants?
confines of a
Because
cloak?
he wanted to
so
feel
he can have a shady face,
fantastic.
but he can't have no
What about
pants?
a ghost hat?
Like,
You can't, no underwear?
Yeah.
No? Where's your ghost money?
he was trying to guard himself a couple times. Like,
Anyways,
just give
any
him a
real
Speedo.
qualms from someone else?
No, I don't. That's why I was saying it's not real.
Corey?
I
It's a
just
ghost
got caught
qualm.
up on it.
Do you honestly think I have qualms with this, Tom?
No, I don't. The possibility for you to have qualms is yes. The probability, no.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about yeah.
I don't have any qualms with this.
Yeah,
Give
my
Spectre pants.
This is the best DC comic I've ever read. Hands down.
I honestly
I've ever
think
read or seen.
I think there's a reason it's regarded as the kind of like pinnacle. Like if you want to read a masterclass in DC comics, this is the one that people point to. This is the one that they hold above all else. Almost like beyond this is not a comparison at all because it's not. But like what God loves, man kills is to X-Men. This is to all of DC.
and to bring up the point, we put Josh through some top tier anime, so having him go back to do other things is going to be tough. So for anyone that's getting into comic books and hasn't read a lot of comic books, this would be a wonderful place to start. But
No.
also
Just
know
know
that this
but
is the
that's
top
okay.
of the
Just know that
pulse.
this is a medium rare steak, and then everything else is going to be well done, like Batman's
Yeah.
afterwards.
I think this is too dark. For
What?
my personal taste, is too much.
It starts out dark, but it has such a wonderful positive message at the very end.
Hundreds of people die at the end.
That's what happens, baby.
Nope.
Welcome to comic books.
No, to me, this would not be a good entry point. This would be once you start getting into it and accepting it. I know that's why I said to me, but once you start getting into it and accepting like the depth and the hero genre and everything, then I think it's like, if this was one of the first things I read, I would be out. I'd be like, nope, I'm good. I don't want it. But because I have more understanding and appreciate kind of what it's going for, I can appreciate it now. But if this was my entry point, I'd be out.
I'll say this.
I'd be like, no.
If you relate to Caitlin, do not start here. If you relate to me, start here.
There
If
you
you
go.
Do that.
don't have problems with people's
whoever you relate to
wardrobes,
on the
then
show.
start here.
Follow that advice.
Well, the
Yes.
reason
We'll go there.
why I say it is because it plays on all of the things that people know about the characters, but they don't have to go too in depth about it.
Yeah.
Like they
But
literally
as-
just
yeah.
touch upon things so that like anyone's like, oh, that's the fast guy. Oh, that's the warrior
the
woman.
fast
Oh, that's the
guy.
green guy. Oh, okay, that's the. Oh my God! Fucking didn't even mention the Martian Manhunter part
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and how that was
Oh, and
so
how he's just like kind
sad.
of broken.
Oh my! And then Bruce is just like,
Yeah.
"Don't worry, you fought enough wars." I was like, "Oh my God!" That's like
Poor baby John.
I loved. Oh my.
know.
Anyways, so rating.
Rating.
Let's get into
John
ratings. Let's
first.
finish up the show. Who's
I'll
first?
be
Corey.
here till y'all are done.
5.
Okay. Easy.
Not even a question in my mind. Like I went in with high expectations and I was like, this may not meet the 5 standard that I've had in my mind after not reading this for the 2 years I've known about it. And then
You were slapped.
yeah, it surpassed everything. I mean, down to the Bruce Wayne double crossing Lex Luthor with his team and being
Learn
like,
from
because
the
like,
best.
here's the thing with Superman and Batman's relationship at this point in their lives where Superman is partly responsible for
The
letting
decline.
this guy basically nuke Kansas. I wouldn't put it past Batman to be like, fuck that guy.
Fuck metahumans.
I'm going to stop him.
Yeah.
So when the switch happened and he was like, there's the signal. I was like, oh, whoa, it's happening. It's Batman.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. I think they treated every character with the utmost respect to what they stand for at their core, and I loved it.
Josh first.
Tom first.
No, I mean, he
it
said Josh first.
He
Fine.
jumped on it. Sorry.
He's gonna do it every time, so I'm
No,
5.
every time because I know
No,
when
every
that
time
happens to
since
you.
then. 5.
Every time. 5. For me, it's 5. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's not hard for me to like comic books. And so when you give me filet mignon, I'm going to eat that shit before you even realize it was out of the kitchen.
Well done.
You know what
Like
I'm
when you
saying?
said filet mignon,
Filet mignon.
which is
Well done too.
not a food.
Filet mignon.
So, Caitlin, what you got?
Come on, man. Come on.
4.99 give Spectre pants.
Oh my
my
God.
God.
Is it really 4.9?
It is.
Oh my
There we
God.
Like
go. So she's the
honestly,
Grum.
like so high, close to 5. But there were
The pants
It was
got
like
you?
dumb.
No.
They kind of did. Like when the way that they drew Spectre, like clutching his cloak all the time, I was like, he looks uncomfortable.
Just give
It's
a man
the
some
dumbest
pants.
thing, but it made me like, it caught me up. It stopped me in the middle of reading it. I was like, why?
So much
Why
disrespect.
Am I, like, that's
So
fine.
disrespectful.
You can feel however you want, but it is something that actually did detract a little bit for me. That I don't know why. It's a mole. It's a mole, and it doesn't really matter. But it did detract a little bit for me.
Congratulations to Andrew B. Getting it correct.
Nice.
The grump.
Good job.
For pants. For a lack of pants.
Wait, those are, oh yeah, I was like, all the other votes were us. Shout out
For
to
an
shout out
earthly
to us.
problem for an unearthly man.
4.99.
Wow.
0.01. Pants.
Awesome. Everybody at home, I hope you enjoyed that conversation about pants. Let us know what you thought of Kingdom Come if you have read it. If you have not, please do and come back and let's talk about it. Reach out to us on the Discord. There is a comic books channel on that server. But yeah, come join us on the Discord. It's a great conversation. The community keeps growing. We dig it. There's so many conversations. It's awesome.
lot.
If you are new to Nerd On, welcome. Do check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has everything that we do, links to everything. It's all good stuff. We appreciate all you all. Do stop by, rate and review us wherever you listen. wherever. Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart,
We read
all the good
all
stuff.
of them.
But yeah, that's it. That's the episode. You know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Ending broadcast.